Hey everybody, what's up? This is Mark Springer here. I'm one of the co-founders of Avatar, and what I want to do is kind of take you on a side-by-side journey using the system with me. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to show you how you can apply the system to help you reach a specific goal. In my case, I'm going to be competing at Raw Powerlifting Nationals in October, and I'm using the system on myself to help me prepare for it. I've been using the system on myself ever since we created it. And it's kind of funny because one of the reasons why we built this thing, I kept thinking to myself, of all the things I would want to have taken care of for me using a flexible dieting approach, and ultimately that turned into Avatar. But anyway, one thing that kind of goes to show is this is something that you can use if you're a power lifter, if you're a soccer mom, if you're a scientist working in a lab. Like, it doesn't matter. The system is just as effective for anybody regardless of their goals, whether it's something super specific like I need to be 182.6 pounds at my weigh-in on October 12th, or if you have something more general like I just want to lose some of this fat. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do coming into it. As long as you let the system take over and just follow those adjustments, it's going to continue progressing you toward your goal, whatever it is. So in my case, we're just trying to get really specific. The plan going into it's very important to have a plan, is to overshoot my weight class, right? So I compete at 83 kilos, which is 182.6. So that means on weigh-in day, I have to be 182.6 or less. So what I'm going to do is start my fat loss phase early, get down to the mid to mid-high 170s, and then reverse diet into the competition itself. So I know a lot of my competitors are going to be cutting down, just frantically trying to make weight at the very end, and they're going to drop off a lot of strength as a result. But if you're in a caloric surplus going into the meet, you're going to put yourself at a really nice advantage and not be mentally worried about trying to make weight day of. And also, what I'm going to do is take before and after pictures every single week. Well, I guess pictures every single week. I guess they're just your pictures, and then they become a before a week later, and then an after a week later after that. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I'm going to keep taking those pictures so that way you can see the visual progress alongside the changes in the data. So you'll see the body fat data points changing, you'll see the weight changing, and then you'll start to see how that reflects on a camera. So it's really kind of cool to overlay all those different things. And I highly suggest that you take consistent progress photos all along the way, so that way you can look back, and if you're having a hard time, you rewind the clock 3 months and say, oh wow, look at where I came from. Even though I didn't have a great week this past week, just seeing the totality of the progress that I've made is awesome. And never sell yourself short on the total progress that you've made over time. On the mental side, on the physical side, on the numbers side, on the visual side, you know, there's a lot of different aspects that go into this. So that's my recommendation, is be consistent. So it's like on the day that I did that DEXA starting out, I also took a caliper reading and noted the difference between what DEXA said and what caliper said, and it was plus 1.7% body fat from those calipers. My caliper said that was at 8% body fat, but I know that that's reading 1.7 below what my true body fat is. So add on 1.7, and there you had the difference at 9.7%. So this is week 1 of my fat loss phase, getting ready for powerlifting nationals. So anyway, I was on a pretty comfortable amount of food. As you can see here, I had over 300 grams of carbs every single day. And just a little funny side note, I thought I was going to get hungry because, you know, I'm in a deficit now. So I started doing intermittent fasting, and I wouldn't eat until around either 11 a.m. or noon. That's when I would start eating. I'd eat from about 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. But doing that, I kept finding myself with 150-ish carbs, probably 35 fat, and 50 or so protein just before bed. So this upcoming week, I'm not going to use the intermittent fasting approach, because I realize that having to pound down a lot of food at night is not a great call. But that being said, it was a really successful first week, so I'm going to do my weigh-in. So obviously logged into my profile, I got on the scale, I was 185.8, and I was very compliant, so that's already yes. But as you can see, there's ranges, just in case you kind of fudged a little bit. But the way that we define that is being plus or minus 10% on each category, while staying plus or minus 5% on average to your macro or your total caloric goal. So I just did my caliper readings. I'm going to have to pull up the calculator. I used the 3-site method. My chest measurement came out to 6.6. My abdomen was 11. And my thigh was 9.6. So let's see what that brings me to. So that's 8. So remember, when I did the DEXA, the difference was 1.7% up is what it was reading. So what I'll do is add 1.7 to my calipers, so that brings me up to 9.7. So let's see, would I like higher carbs and fats on certain days? Not yet. I wouldn't do that until my training starts to kind of intensify, and in the event that macros go down, I would want to have a little bit more on my heavier training days. So I'll go ahead and add that check-in, and let's see what my pop-up says. So I've lost what is an appropriate amount of weight over the past 7 days on moderate fat loss. There's not going to be any major changes to my macros for the upcoming week. So very pleased with how my first weigh-in went. I dropped some water weight, as is to be expected on your first week, but I also dropped some body fat. So it's looking pretty good. And just a side note from my training, strength has continued going up. So I'm not in such an aggressive deficit that's affecting my performance. And that's nice when you're preparing to go to a national powerlifting meet. You do not want to cut yourself too aggressively, but you just got to think about whatever your goals are, what you're trying to use this system for to help further your own ends. And just, one big key tip for success and takeaway that you can get out of this is having a specific plan with how you're using the system is super important. If you want to just throw something general there, like I'd like to lose some weight, I think that would be nice if that happened. That's not very specified. And the more specific you are with setting a goal into the future, the more likely you are to achieve it, or achieve 85, 90% of it. So it's really good to have that solid plan going out there. And if you are just confused as to what to do, you can do some soul searching, or you could even consult with our member success team, and they can help you really define a clear goal and establish a plan to get you there. I hope that makes sense, and I will see you guys every week from here on out, giving these check-ins. So, peace.